Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's Big T event. I'm so pleased that you're all able to join us, albeit virtually. Understandably, the charity team were disappointed that we've had to change the event somewhat this year, but understandably, we had to be responsible and think of the safety of our patients and our staff. So we decided to conduct the ceremony today, albeit, as I say, virtually. I hope by now you've all received your Big T packs. And I hope you're all tucking in and enjoying those and ready for the tea break at 3 o'clock, which the Mayor of Wolverhampton will formally open for us shortly. I just wanted to say a big thank you as well to the comms team for helping in terms of the design work and the distribution and supporting us in terms of social media. And a huge thank you, as always, to our colleagues in the estates department. So that's our transport teams, our stores and our porters for making sure that all the packs and all the goodies go out to everybody on time for today. If any of you have had any issues and you haven't got enough packs, if you could just drop me a brief email and we can get that rectified for you as soon as possible. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the Mayor of the City of Wolverhampton, Councillor Greg Brackenridge, who'd like to say a few words before opening the event formally at 3 o'clock today. Thank you, everyone.
And thank you, Leanne, and thank everybody who's online today. It's wonderful to be here to not only support but celebrate the work that our wonderful NHS does. I will be giving the opening address and the Deputy will be presenting some awards during the course of today. I thought that was appropriate because the Deputy Mayor, many may or may not know, worked for the NHS herself for many years, and so did my mother. She was a nurse at New Cross Hospital and finished her career at the geriatric unit at West Park, as it was then. My grandfather was the manager of stores, and currently my son is in the last year of his training to become a doctor. His mother was his head of science at school, so he couldn't get away with anything. But you can see that not only on a professional level, but also personally, the NHS means an awful lot to my family. I am well aware, as a former firefighter, of the work that all the emergency services have done during this pandemic. Firefighters have collaborated with our NHS staff to drive ambulances, to deliver vaccinations, but that gives us first-hand witness and knowledge of what the NHS have been through. And I have to say, on behalf of everybody in Wolverhampton, we are extremely proud of everything that you've done to keep us safe. So anybody who is listening and watching, I know will agree that we all thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And we know we're not out of the woods yet. So we need to keep being safe and making sure that we help our NHS to help us. So now on to brighter things. We are starting to feel as though there's some semblance of normality coming back to our lives. That will be extended a little longer than I think most people think, particularly when we consider the new variants. But there is some hope that we may well be able to get back to meeting in person as soon as possible. And when I can get the chance to do that, I will be coming to thank you personally on behalf of the city for everything that you've done. So happy birthday. Over 70 years now, the NHS has been serving our nation admirably. And I do understand that you've been awarded the George Cross as well recently by Her Majesty the Queen, who I represent in Wolverhampton, for the whole of the NHS across the UK and everybody in it, because we know how important you are. And if the last year has taught us anything, it is that. We know the important people in our lives now. We also know how important other people are to us. We all depend on one another, and the NHS is the best example of what Britain has ever done. It is a fantastic organisation. We support you wholeheartedly, and once again, we are very, very grateful for everything you've done. Thank you again for the invite, and once again, can't wait to meet you in person. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brackenridge, and that was really heartfelt, so thank you for that. I'd like to introduce now Kevin Stringer, the Deputy Chief Executive, who'd like to say a few words to everyone.
Thank you, Mayor. What a great message to open everything up with today. Really appreciate it. My name's Kevin Stringer. I'm Deputy Chief Executive, Chief Financial Officer, and I'm standing in for David Lawton today. He's taking some well-earned rest. And a bit like the Mayor, I'm really sorry I've not been able to meet you all in person. I'm really looking forward to that today, as I was hoping we're starting to move a bit more to normal. But as the COVID virus remains and the current variant is very transmittable, it's right that today we do it digitally. So thanks to Leanne and Rachel for reorganising everything very, very quickly. I guess if I've got one message, if you haven't had your vaccinations, please take them. Really important to carry on the good fight. So today is about celebrating the NHS's 73rd birthday, but it's also probably a time for reflection. I am aware that in the last 18 months, we've lost a number of patients and staff, and many families have been affected by the pandemic through loss of family members. So the bereavement team today will be placing a prayer tree and rainbow prayer cards in the chapels at New Cross Hospital, Cannock Chase Hospital and West Park Hospital. And this will give staff the opportunity to quietly reflect for a short time and to complete a prayer request and hang it on a tree if they so wish. Information leaflets and cards are also available for staff to access bereavement or occupational health and chaplaincy support if it's required. But it's also a time to celebrate. Today, the NHS is 73, and as the Mayor's already said, the Queen has awarded the George Cross to the NHS, recognising staff in all 4 nations. And I understand in a personal handwritten message, the Queen said, NHS staff have carried out their work with courage, compassion and dedication for more than 70 years. So today I'm looking forward to hearing about the members of staff and volunteers that will be receiving an RWT Charity Outpouring of Thanks Award for all their hard work. Thank you to the charity and NHS Charities Together for the outpouring of support that Trust has received, and from March 2020 until February 21, the charity received an amazing £683,000, which has been spent in trying to make life a little easier during a very difficult period. So without further ado, and the CEO is not available today, but on behalf of him and the board at RWT, thank you to all the amazing staff and volunteers for everything you've done and continue to do for our patients and each other. And I think, as they say, you've all been bossed in. So with that, over to Sue Rawlings, whom is chair of the RWT's charity.
Thank you very much, Kevin. It's a real pleasure to be here this afternoon. As has already been said, it's disappointing that we can't actually be on site and be sharing this with you directly, but nonetheless, it's wonderful to be here and a real privilege to share this with you. I'm Sue Rawlings. I'm the chair of our charity at the hospital, non-executive director on the board. The charity was set up originally to provide over and above the normal that is funded by the NHS. And as a charity, we've done our best to respond positively to the impact of COVID-19 on our patients and staff. And as Kevin just mentioned, we've had the benefit of being able to pass on those benefits for the significantly increased funding and the gifts that have been given directly to those in need of support. I also can't fail to draw attention to the amazing fundraising of Sir Captain Tom Moore. And we as a charity at Wolverhampton have also benefited significantly from that. We've been able to offer complementary therapies and other support to staff. We also had significant donations from our wonderful football team and their players as well. And among other items, that enabled us to part fund the equipment for the 2 new wards for patients suffering with COVID. We've also been overwhelmed by the generosity of so many people in the local community, individuals, families, community groups, churches and businesses. The donations received, both financial and practical, have helped make life just that bit easier for our selfless and exhausted staff and for the patients who struggled and their families. As a charity, we were delighted to be able to provide all members of staff with a small gift and a commemorative badge to acknowledge their hard work and the immense difficulties that they faced during this period. For patients, we were able to arrange comfort packs and iPads on the wards to enable them to stay in contact with their families and carers who were unable to visit them. I think really this Big T now is the culmination of everything. As I say, I'm so sorry we're not face to face, but we do hope as a charity to go from strength to strength, and with your support and the work that you do, I'm sure we will do. It's all we want to do is support our wonderful staff and all our patients. So really, it just remains for me to say thank you to everybody who's been involved. I hope you enjoy the afternoon, and I'm an Earl Grey and a Bourbon. Enjoy yours. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks for that, Sue. I'd like to move the event on to our Outpouring of Thanks Awards, and this is a special charity award that was developed specifically for this event. We asked for staff and volunteers and patients to nominate those that they felt had gone above and beyond and really helped to make a difference to not only the patients' lives but their families and to also each other. So I'd like to introduce Simon Evans, who's the Chief Strategy Officer at the Trust, with the nominations for the West Park Hospital category. Sorry.
Thanks, Leanne, and happy birthday, everybody, on behalf of all of us part of the NHS. Who'd have thought 16 months ago we'd still be here? I don't think anybody thought that at that moment in time, but it's been a tough time. And so just taking 5 minutes to have that cup of tea with Sue, with her Earl Grey, and I think it was a Bourbon, whatever your choice is, just take 5 minutes just to take stock, reflect, and just realise just how amazing each and every one of you are. It's been a really tough time, and if you can't, just spend 5 minutes and just take time to reflect. It has been tough, folks, and it is truly appreciated. But let me move on to the West Park category then, and the winner of the award has been nominated by Christina Layton, and the winner is Mike Grinsell. And throughout the pandemic, Mike has been a ray of sunshine to both staff and patients. He always comes into the ward on a voluntary basis from Monday through to Thursday. Mike supports the team and our patients by completing a variety of different tasks, including changing beds, making hot drinks, and getting snacks to encourage nutrition and hydration. He also offers additional support to staff and asks if there is anything else he could help with. Mike really listens to patients and takes time to engage with them. He chats about their interests and also listens to music with them. So Mike, clearly you make a real difference. There is a certificate, Mike, which almost certainly won't show up against the background, but nevertheless, trust me, you will be getting one. We'll make sure it makes its way over to you. So on behalf of all of us, a special thank you goes to Mike Grinsell.
That's great. Thank you, Simon. I'd like now to hand you over to Gwen Nuttall, our Chief Operating Officer for the community category.
Thanks, Leanne, and thank you to everybody. Just to reiterate all my thanks. Can everyone hear me? It still says no, that's fine. It still says I'm muted. That's unusual, isn't it, for me to be quiet? I'll start again. Just to reiterate all the thanks to everybody in this organisation, staff and volunteers who've just been so fantastic. Always fantastic prior to the pandemic, but clearly the last 15-16 months have been something different that everyone has experienced, including patients and relatives, and I think it's right to have that reflection. But equally, I think it's also right for us to be hopeful and look forward and to have that little time out with a cup of tea, safe and socially distanced, of course. I'm on English breakfast, Sue and a ginger nut, and hopefully everyone will get their pack. Not so good. But just to introduce my community category award, and this brief nomination and citation is for a lady who's been nominated by Yvette Booth. And the winner of this award is a healthcare assistant at Phoenix, a lady by the name of Sally Whitehouse. And just to give you a brief synopsis of why Sally has been nominated, As I've said, Sally's a healthcare assistant working at the Phoenix Walking Centre. She's already had a history of being heavily involved in fundraising for many charities. She currently has a Facebook page which shows lots of pictures of staff receiving goods and care homes and working with the homeless charities in Wolverhampton. However, during the pandemic, and these are the words of her nominee, she totally astounded everyone with her kindness. She worked full-time throughout the pandemic, both at the Phoenix and also was redeployed to the New Cross A&E department. And at times it was a real struggle for her to continue. But like many people, she never moaned or complained. It has been tough, but during her spare time, she continued to fundraise in aid of the Trust and also local care home, delivering parcels of hand creams, lips, bottled water, and anything else that she thought would be helpful to staff throughout the pandemic. Sally is an absolute credit to the Trust, and the comment from Yvette is we would absolutely love for her to be recognised. And so I'm delighted that we are able to recognise Sally. She's an unsung NHS hero who cannot be praised enough. And equally, Sally, hopefully when time's right, you're never going to see it, but there is a suitable award and certificate for you, and many congratulations, and thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you, Gwen. I'd like to now hand you over to Alan Duffel, who's our Chief People Officer, and Alan will be presenting the GP category.
Hello all. 73. I hope I look this good when I'm 73, but I doubt it somehow. So, going slightly against the script, I'm down to present the award for the GP category. So, this was nominated by Louise Cartwright, and the winner is the Prescribing Support Team. Congratulations to them. At the start of the pandemic, the Prescribing Support Team, alongside the Wolverhampton CCG, assisted the GP practices to reduce the footfall by encouraging patients to nominate community pharmacy to use, and at the same time using electronic repeat prescriptions and actually dispensing in using structured medicine reviews for care homes across Wolverhampton. Since December, the workload has increased significantly, but they've been assisting the vaccine rollout across Wolverhampton, specifically with the dilution of the process with the Pfizer vaccine. But they've also continued to adapt to a changing environment and actually finding new ways to work safely in different environments, adapting their work patterns, especially working hours and working at weekends, in addition to what's been their normal working hours. They've actually trained the primary care network staff to process the vaccine and stock management. And they've also been maintaining things like fridge temperatures, monitoring and checking a whole range of different elements of training as part of the distribution and dilution of the Pfizer vaccine. They've been available at all the PCN sites as well as the Aldersley Stadium. So, in the words of the nominee, I want this team that I work with to know how amazing they are. They've been resilient. They need to be recognised by the Trust. We're a small team helping a large area. Well done, guys. And all I can say is congratulations. I don't have a certificate to hold up. Having said that, if I did, you wouldn't see it looking at the previous ones. But congratulations on what you've achieved. I really am proud of you, and you will get a certificate soon.
That's great. Thanks for Alan. And just to reassure the prescribing team, they have actually got a certificate. We're going to try and get it on transport so it gets delivered to them sort of later today. So thank you for that, Alan. I'd like now to hand you over to Dr. Brian McCaig, who's our Acting Chief Medical Officer, to present the Cannock Chase Hospital category.
Thanks, Anne. Afternoon all. I hope you're enjoying your cup of tea, which I know is exceptionally well deserved, and it just amazes me how resilient and how friendly everybody continues to be despite what everyone's had to go through over the last 18 months. And as with my colleagues, just want to really express thanks and gratitude for everything that everybody has done over that period of time. It really is amazing. I'm really pleased actually to be presenting the Cannock Chase Award that was nominated by Damien Jones, and it goes to the volunteers of the League of Friends Cafe, which is close to my heart on a Friday afternoon. The ladies in there will know me by name and by sight as I walk in, and they're great what they've been able to do. So, you know, because the footfall dropped off near the edge of a cliff when the pandemic started, a lot of people might not unreasonably have decided to hunker down and to bear it out, but no, not this team. They rearranged the cafe into providing a shop, and so providing all the staff who are still working out at Cannock with the ability to pick up provisions. And I know this firsthand. When clinical teams have been working hard in sort of fairly unpleasant conditions, nipping out for that 5 minutes to pick up your lunch was really quite difficult, but the team were great. They would come along to you with hot, cold food, and most importantly of all, with a big smile on their faces every time you see them, and that's continued all the way through. So I take my hats off to them. They're a fantastic team, and I'm really, really pleased that you have won the Outpouring of Thanks Award, and I look forward to delivering it to you personally on Friday lunchtime. So well done, team.
That's great. Thank you, Brian. I just wanted to let everybody know we've actually launched our own RWT charity poll just for a bit of fun. So that will be going out on social media this afternoon and on the intranet. And we're asking people how they like their team, what's their favourite biscuit. So Sue and Gwen, I'd like you to obviously register your votes as well. We've also got a competition going called the Something Brewing. So there'll be pictures going out on social media, and we're asking people to identify and count up how many tea bags Rachel has crammed into a special RWT vase. The winners will actually get a huge supply of tea bags for their team. Obviously, in the interest of IP, you won't be winning the ones that are in the vase. They are just for photographic purposes. You will get a brand new bag completely sealed. So keep an eye on that for that, please, on the intranet and also on social media. I'd like to take this opportunity now also to thank Rachel for her unwavering support throughout Big T. There's a lot that goes into organising and planning these events, and Rachel and I started having conversations about Big T at the beginning of April. So to have that sort of conversation on Thursday afternoon was very difficult for me as Rachel's manager, and I just want to say thank you to Rachel for all of her hard work and the ability to actually spin this event on its head in approximately 3 hours. So a day full of activity throughout all 3 hospital sites. We've managed to convert back to sort of social media and a virtual platform. So a huge thank you to Rachel for doing that for us. So thank you, Rachel. And now I've deeply embarrassed her. I am going to hand over to Rachel, and she's going to announce the winners of our Big T word search. So thank you.
Thanks, Leanne. So my name is Rachel. I'm the community events fundraiser for the charity team. You may have seen some of my photographs on social media of me recently accepting some hampers from some of our corporate supporters across the community. We obviously just want to say a big thank you to all of those whose generous donations have enabled us to give out fantastic prizes to staff who entered our RWT charity Big T word search. So I want to say a big congratulations to the following winners who we drew. Sarah Chris, you have won from Cannock Chase Hospital. Sarah, you have won a tea-themed hamper, which is donated to us by the Morrisons in Cannock. We also have Leanne Burley, who won for the community, GP and other category. Leanne, you've won a tea-themed hamper that has been donated by the Sainsbury's in Wentzfield. Julie Whitehouse, you have won for New Cross Hospital. Julie, you have won a branded latte glass, which contains a voucher for an afternoon tea for 2, hot chocolates, mini marshmallows and sprinkles. That was supported by Costa Coffee and the RWT charity. And then finally, last but not least, Julie Burgess, you've won from West Park Hospital. And Julie, you have won a tea-themed hamper that was donated to us from Tesco in Willenhall. So I'll be contacting you all shortly to either arrange pick-up or a delivery of your prizes. So I look forward to speaking to you all soon.
Thank you, Rachel. I'd like to hand you back now to Alan Dufell, who's going to offer us some closing remarks for today's event. Thank you.
Thank you. I think there's some thanks in orders. First of all,
sorry, no, I'm not. My apologies. I've just missed somebody off our event, off the categories.
That's fine.
Rewind. Even though I'm on record. Many apologies to the Deputy Mayor of Wolverhampton. So Councillor Samuels has actually joined us today to award the Outpouring of Thanks Award for the New Cross Hospital category. And I'm so sorry, Councillor Samuels, and thank you to Rachel for whispering to me in my ear to say, we've forgotten the Deputy Mayor. So many apologies, Councillor Samuels.
So Leanne, you've only gone and forgotten the only nurse you have on your panel as a guest, isn't it? The first time we've ever had a deputy mayor who's been a nurse in the past, and you go and forget her, Leanne. Never mind. Okay. First and foremost, thank you so much for inviting me along this afternoon. The mayor spoke earlier on and said that I had been a nurse and at present a retired one, but happy 73rd anniversary to the Royal Wolverhampton NHS Trust, a hospital that I've worked in the past, to all the staff, the volunteers, the patients, and especially, and I know they don't get a lot of mention, especially the infection control team, because obviously with this, with the pandemic, and everything else that has gone on with COVID-19, I know everyone's worked tirelessly to keep the majority of individuals safe. I have been a former nurse and I've retired after 40 years in the National Health Service, but the last 18 years was obviously spent at the Queen Elizabeth as a theatre sister in neurosurgery. So thank you very much for inviting me to come along. And the Outpouring of Thanks Award for New Cross in New Cross category. So the winner of this award is the Respiratory Physiotherapy team, and the nomination came in from Sophie Rogers. Now, during the last 18 months, the Respiratory Physiotherapy team at New Cross Hospital really stepped up to deal with a new virus, something that no one has ever heard of before and didn't really know how this was going to pan out, as well as adapting their ways of working in order to meet these needs and to meet the needs of the service. They trained new members of staff so they were able to join the emergency on-call respiratory role. They helped new members of staff to develop skills so they could support the wider team with the influx of patients with COVID-19. The team implemented new treatment techniques and training ward staff on conscious proning of patients to help patients manage their breathlessness and make them more comfortable. And I'm sure we've all seen this on television, if not on the wards themselves. They also helped deal with a complex COVID-19 ITU rehab patient and helped get them home after a long ITU stay. For me, that's no mean feat, as someone who's worked in intensive care in the past. The team have been fantastic, and the area really lovely people to work with. I want to personally say from the City Council, the Mayor, the Deputy Mayor, and the team here, thank you so much to the Respiratory Physiotherapy team, and this award is well deserved. All the best for the future ahead, those months upcoming. You were all amazing. I don't actually have an award to show you. So Leanne, was I supposed to have something to hold up? Because I haven't, but I can assure you, you do have an award. So again, well done and congratulations.
Thank you to Deputy Mayor, and sincere apologies again. I'm so sorry. It's been a bit of a morning, to say the least. The team have definitely got a certificate, and we will be delivering that later this afternoon. So thank you for that.
Not at all. Thank you.
And now I will be handing over to Alan Dufell for closing remarks for today's event. Thank you, Alan.
Thanks, Leanne. And we are sure about that, yes.
Yes, most definitely. Thank you.
So I've got a few thanks to give out. Just before I do, when Rachel was reading out the list of winners, one of the early winners was Leanne, and I was so relieved when a different surname came out when those names were being read out. But first of all, some thanks. Thanks to the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor so much for taking the time to join us, really. This is never how we wanted to do this, but really do appreciate you guys taking the time to come and talk to the staff and support us with these awards. So thank you very much for that. Also like to thank Leanne, Rachel and the whole team involved with doing this. As they literally said, this had to change on a sixpence. Although I recognise some people won't know what a sixpence is anymore, but having said that, it'll have turned around really, really quickly. So thank you for what you've done, and that really is appreciated. And again, massive thanks. Well done. Great work, team. Also want to say sort of thank you and congratulations to all the award winners today and everybody who applied as well, because I recognise, as well as those who won today, there's a whole host of names and individuals who probably haven't been read out here today who are equally deserving and have done a fabulous job. So thank you so much to all of those. As Kevin and others said, this has been a significantly challenging 18 months, really. And from my perspective and the whole Trust Board, again, just want to reiterate our thanks for what you've gone through over the last 16 months. It has been incredible. It has been a time I've never seen in the NHS and will hopefully never see again. But again, thank you for what you've done. It has been a real shame that we couldn't do it as we'd planned. I was quite looking forward to popping over to Cannock for a cup of tea and a biscuit, or 2 or 3 or possibly 4. However, you've done a great job in making this happen today. So on behalf of myself, my colleagues, the rest of the board, I just want to say thank you everybody for taking the time to put your names forward, and thank you so much for what you've done over the last 18 months. It really is appreciated. And I know Kevin's mentioned this, David is, would have really loved to be in here today, but unfortunately even our chief executives need to take leave. So thank you very much. And my final parting words will be, if you haven't already done it, or you know someone who hasn't had the vaccination, please encourage them to have that vaccination. It really is so important. Thank you very much, and we'll have another silent clap again. Bye bye.
Thank you.